words outward.
There's something special that I'm going to do right now because I got a special request from Sarah Kaufman. Deb's mother is in the audience right now. Sarah Kaufman, welcome. We know it's a big deal that you're here, and she can't stay for the whole time. But there's a special bond that we have. I met Deb before she had even started IWOW. Maybe many of you have known her for a long time, but we met her in Europe on an art creative tour, and she was just dreaming IWOW. So I've known her for a really long time, and this space is so sacred and so her that Sarah asked if I would read a poem that I wrote for her memorial, because it sums up a lot of what this space means to us. And I know many of you already know it, but for those who are new here, this will add some depth to it. So this is Deb's space. It was her studio and her gallery, and she used to work upstairs. And she taught classes, and she invented IWOW, and really brought the community together. Here it is, a poem for Deb. Deb taught what she wanted to learn, to let go of the past, let it go burn. She questioned life and shared how to get through it. To soothe her soul, she wrote and drew it. She taught us things that helped her grow, like it's okay not to know. Permission granted. Take your writing off the shelf and be yourself. Step out in front of a loving crowd. Speak your truth. Feel seen and proud. Stand up to share, shaking like a leaf. Finish to applause to your great relief. Deb made an awesome and welcoming space for all of our talents to have a place, to be seen and heard and to be known, and where her amazing art could be shown. Cartoons that stood for her and me and you. Characters wearing polka dots and funny little red shoes. She made a play space and painted it bright, filled it with humor, color, and light. She seemed to do it without a fuss, dealing gracefully with all the rest of us. A drawing space for hearts and souls, a stage to perform with no controls, except for the 5-minute rule, which really is wise and keeps our ramblings down to size. Deb gave us a gift when she opened this place. As a gift back to her, let's keep this sacred space. A living legacy, both caring and kind. IWOW is soul support for heart, soul, and mind.
This I have been writing for a long, long time. I'm an attorney, so words are my thing, always have been, along with visual stuff, but words primarily. So this is sort of chapter 1 of my memoir. Okay. A walk on December 23rd. Chatham County, Georgia, where the tides are on average 12 feet high between low and high. The December weather is generally above freezing, so I can walk barefoot on the beach. Aside from the old Spanish-American war fort, there is at the north end, pushing out into Wassaw Sound, a long sandbar that reaches first north and then east. It is visibly 500 or 600 yards long at low tide. We have called the bar Cape Charlotte, not for my grandmother, but for her grandmother. Always at the north end on Cape Charlotte at low tide are black skimmers, brown pelicans, birds that are easily recognized. Then there is a mix of terns, gulls, and sanderling in winter, and red knot, oystercatchers, and black-bellied plover in the spring and summer. If there had been a recent winter storm with wind, there's usually a peregrine falcon or two on the land, All was at the north end, playing in the wind. Cape Charlotte is a rough patch in the ocean at high tide, a sandy shoal to catch unwary boats, and at low tide the beach is 300 feet wide. Solo, I often walk to the north end. It's about 5 miles total, 4 of them on the beach. On my walks, I never interact with any wildlife. Nothing chases me. Birds lift off and circle when I get too close, and they settle right back where they were after I pass. They are there when I return. Any bull alligators headed to or from the ocean give me wide berth, and I them. Alligators are not often seen in December. The beach is also empty of humans. December days are short, and it is a long way, a round trip in an open boat, from Savannah to this island and then back before dark. So on December 23rd, I walked to the north end. No shells yet in my hands, no camera, no binoculars. I walked around the fort as it was dead low tide, looked in the pools of seawater at the old walls for life, saw none, headed back to return to the house and dinner on the dry sand close to the edge of the vegetation, above where a normal high tide reaches. The sand was warm and soft and dry. It felt good on my bare feet. As I rounded, that distracted me. As I rounded the northeastern high and dry point, no birds lifted from Cape Charlotte. 2 gulls were down by the water, about 200 feet away, watching me, looking at me. I found 2 same-sized brown and white striped cockle shells, a left and a right, the size of my cupped palms. They weren't a pair, close in size though, not really matching. Then a bit further I saw a complete little tailed crustacean about 4 inches long. It was still alive, and legs were respirating, moving, making angel wings in the white sand, like a snow angel. I was afraid to pick it up. The gulls must have fought over it and dropped it. It wasn't dead, but it soon would be in this warm, dry sand. I'd been reading some Buddhist writings. I watched the legs move slowly. It might have sensed that I was close. In the world of Buddha, who might this be? In a shrimp incarnation. A shrimp found by me in a place where shrimp ought not to be. And this shrimp was alive. Living crustaceans are not favorites of mine. Where I learned to swim, on another island in Long Island Sound near New London, there were many, many, many green crabs on the too close bottom. I still cringe to think that all that kept those claws away from my very small feet was my fear and my grip of the flutterboard, kicking, kicking, kicking. I'm afraid of living crustaceans in general, and now I am afraid of this one specifically. A little, scratchy, squirmy non-mammal. If I reached for it, it would grab my fingers. But I had just begun to understand karma, that I, as a living human being, can control or form some of my own karma by my responses to life, living things, and events. All of us, to some extent, are afraid of dying. We talk about fear of death as a common, shared fear. I wouldn't like to be in my death throes and agony with something standing there watching me. In my karmic analysis, I didn't have to let it die. Whether or not it was afraid of death does not matter. It was working on living. My breathing paused. I thought, do not be afraid of life. I mouthed the words distinctly. I gently picked it up between the cockles, and it rested in the bowl of one of the shells. I shut both shells around it. As I walked toward the ocean at this low tide, the 2 gulls became interested in me. The little crustacean began to squirm in the shells, scratchy noises, and there was strength from it pushing against the shells that I had clamped around it in my hand. Very much alive. I got to a muddy section of the ocean where there was black clay in the sand stirred up by the waves, and underhanded the shells and the being into the sea. The gulls could not see the crustacean swimming away. Neither could I. I do not know what happened to it. I do know what happened to me. I walked the 2 miles home, marveling at, do not be afraid of life. Today is almost 12 years later, and I cannot refute the thought.
Thank you so much. Our hearts were with you. I invite Martha Bone or Marty Bone to come up next.
My husband fell down the stairs 3:30 in the morning, right before New Year's. The bathroom was a straight shot to the bedroom, a path he had walked for more than 25 years. He took a wrong turn. I was going to make a whole roast chicken for the holiday, a celebration I was looking forward to. Instead, I spent it running back and forth to the hospital in Pittsfield. My life changed in an instant, and so did his. With a traumatic brain injury accompanied by dementia, I woke to a new landscape, totally unfamiliar. To a husband who had been the smartest person I knew, to someone who couldn't figure out how to use his cell phone. After 10 days in the hospital, he went to a nursing home right out of the Snake Pit, a 1948 movie complete with mean nurses and people who yelled all the day and night. Thankfully, the second rehab was way better. Now he's home, and I am the primary caretaker, the maid, the cook, the shopper, the chauffeur, the financial whiz, not, and the food dog at the gate. It's spring, and I wander through my days trying to latch onto something recognizable, something solid, my art not happening. I used to bloom on old wood, but that wood was pruned out and is gone. I'm hoping I can learn to bloom again, this time on new wood. I'm wondering what those flowers will look like.
So, this is the first time I've written fiction since college. Usually I write an essay or something silly or sarcastic. This is based on a kid I knew who lived in my building and my observations of how he was taunted and bullied. The rest is fictionalized. Kids can be so cruel. If there's something different about you, they exploit it. The Crown Heights apartment house I lived in back in Brooklyn had tons of kids in it. The ones my age amuse themselves by making fun of me. Oh, by the way, this is written in first person. By making fun of me on a daily basis, mostly because they were skinny marinks and I was what they termed a fatso. So instead of calling me Joseph Bloom, to them I was Fatso Joe. There was another kid in the group named Joseph, but his moniker was Joey. How I wished I was a Joey. My parents were Holocaust survivors, and food was pushed at me all the time. They were walking skeletons when their camp was liberated. Eat, eat, my mother would implore me. Children in Europe are starving. When we played stickball in the street, some would yell, "Hit it to Fatso Joe. It's a sure double. He'll never reach the ball." Or let's play hide and seek, Fatso Joe is it. Or Johnny on a pony, it was Fatso Joe's back they jumped on. He looks like a horse, a fat horse. I can still hear the laughter. Seemed like Tony Constantino was always the ringleader for my humiliation. The one I hated most was him. Time never changed that. In my late teens, we moved to another part of Brooklyn because my dad wanted to be closer to his job. I became friends with a boy down the hall from our new apartment. He started bodybuilding, and I did too after he showed me a Charles Atlas ad. By the time I graduated Lincoln High School, I had turned some of my weight into muscle. I also insisted on my control over my diet and assured my mom that kids in Europe had a full belly without my help. I received a Harvard scholarship and began a pre-law program. But my law degree was from NYU, and that brought me back to Brooklyn, where I practiced law as a defense attorney for 30 years, and the last 5 years as a judge in criminal court, 2 miles from where those hurtful kids once lived. My robe size is large, and of late it feels a bit snug as I reviewed a case of a man charged with premeditated murder. His name is Anthony Constantino. He's with a new group of guys, La Cosa Nostra. I hope they throw the book at him, and it's my book. My gut tells me it's payback time. No. It's recusal time. Case closed forever.
I'm really nervous. It's a lazy afternoon, and the beetle bugs are zooming, and the tulip trees are blooming, and there's not another human to see but us two. It's a lazy afternoon, and the farmer leaves his reaping in the meadow. In the meadow cows are sleeping, and the speckled trout are leaping upstream as we dream. A fat pink cloud hangs over the hill, unfolding like a rose. If you hold my hand and sit real still, you can hear the grass as it grows. It's a lazy afternoon, and I know a place that's quiet, 'cept for daisies running riot, and there's no one passing by it to see. Come spend a lazy afternoon with me. Sorry. There came to my window one morning in spring a sweet little robin. He came there to sing, and the song that he sang, it was prettier by far than any I've heard on the flute or guitar. His wings he was spreading to soar far away, then resting a moment seemed sweetly to say, "Oh, happy, how happy the world seems to be. Awake, oh, awake and be happy with me." There came to my window one morning in spring a sweet little robin. He came there to sing. The song that he sang, it was prettier far than any I've heard on the flute or guitar.
Another fiction. The Blooming of Janessa. Young Janessa wants to tell someone close to her an important secret. So she texts her mother's sister, her Aunt June, and they meet up at Starbucks downtown because it has a loft up where they can speak quietly. "Hi, dear," June greets Janessa. "I got your text. I'm guessing it's about Buzz." Buzz had died last week. He was Janessa's unmarried stepdad, who had lived with them for half of her life. And now they are thankful he is finished. He killed himself with rage, same rage that had ruined their lives, that let him bruise their wrists when he grabbed them hard. He had tried, let's say, to die by heart valves a year ago. Now his heart attack last week worked. And as everyone on the block heard, Buzz killed himself telling some fake Easter flowers to bloom. "Bloom, y'all fucking idiots! Bloom! Bloom!" With Darlene risking a slap in the head advising him, "They're plastic, you idiot." Buzz, she reports, grabbed the pot with its red and yellow tulips and insubordinate buds refusing to grow up and chucked it at the window. It flew through the glass and fell 4 stories to the street. The old fellow has become the latest barroom joke, just 8 days in the ground. Well, in the air because Darlene had him burned. Aunt June, do you remember how we got those tulips? 'Cause you need to know. It was a gift from the gift shop a year ago when they were at the hospital with Buzz's first heart surgery. Janessa remembers the moment. It was love at first sight. A pot of tulips, red and yellow, some still buds. How she sniffed and stroked them. Wow, plastic, real dirt. How much? $12? Aunt June, Buzz never even noticed them. Mom didn't care. She wanted to chuck them out a week after because they were in the way of the chair we sit in. Why am I telling you this is because I brought them home and kept them in my room all year, but put them on the breakfast table last month for Easter. Janessa, listen, you're not responsible for that asshole killing himself that way. It was his anger, I see that. But that's not why I called you. First, imagine me walking home last Wednesday and seeing all 5 of them scattered on the street. I looked up and saw the busted window. I could guess. Didn't yet know Buzz was gone. So I went around and collected each of them and got a new pot with real potting soil, and that's why I shouldn't have, but I took them to the funeral home that evening, as you saw, just in case they could, go in with the cremation. Of course, being plastic, they couldn't. He said the cemetery plot is the place. Aunt June, I thought, who would ever give him that? But then Rick, that nice funeral guy, leaned in as I held the tulips, and he sniffed them and stroked the petals and said, like, sure, sorry, I thought they were decoratives. These can go in. Then I saw it. There was now an orange bloom and a blue one cracking open. Buzz was getting his dying wish. They took the tulips, and we saw them put them in the pine box. And now they're burned up. I miss them. Janessa cried. Is that what you wanted to tell me, dear? You missed them? Those were real ones, honey. We all saw that. They were my babies. I really loved them, like a dolly or a cat. All last year I kept them by my bed. Now here's the part I want you to know. Don't tell Mom. The night before Thanksgiving last year, I had a dream that they needed water. I never water them. And then we were in the park somewhere. Rain came. And they were laughing in the rain. I was getting soaked. And then, because it's a dream, it changed. And the rain came for me. I didn't need to drink. I needed... Janessa stopped and held her face for a moment. I needed tears. And so the clouds were crying for me. I stopped crying and it woke me up, and I went out to the park. It was snowing. The air was fresh, and it sort of became me. The fresh air draped over everything. A few days later, it was coming out of me, or more like I was made of it. No fear, no anger. I forgave Buzz for that time that That is how it has been the past half year. Right now, you, this table, the coffee, that man over there, traffic outside. Dear Jesus, those tulips, they bloomed you. What am I saying? I need another latte. Me too. I'll get this one. Thank you.
So I've been wanting to learn this song. I literally just started learning this a couple of days ago. Those of you who have been to IWOW before and have seen me be on this stage know that I really truly believe IWOW is a place where people get up and take risks. So here I am. You're going to know this song, or at least some of it, and you'd be in the band. Did they get passed all around? Did everybody get one who wanted one? Yeah, all right. And I want to invite you to get up. Get up. Sure, why not? Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Don't give up the fight. Preacher man, don't tell me Heaven is under the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth. It's not all that glitters gold. Half the story's never been told. Now you see the light. Just stand up for your right. Sing it with me. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. One more. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, don't give up. Don't give up the fight. Most people think a great God will come from the skies. Take away everything and make everybody feel high. But you know what life is worth. You look for yours here on earth, and now you've seen the light. Just stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Yeah. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. We're sick and tired of your ism, schism game. Trying to go to heaven in Jesus' name. We know and we understand. Almighty God is a living man. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And now we've seen the light. We're gonna stand up for our rights. Here we go. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. 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 Yeah. Yeah, we got to keep making a lot of noise, people. Every which way we can. Every which way we can.
I really wanted to just celebrate the blooming of spring, but there's so much going on. There's so much going on in my life and my friends' lives that I kind of went in another direction. There's the bloom, and there's the fading of the bloom. I mean, there are so many books and poems and songs and movies about the blooming of love and beauty. What happens when the bloom fades? Who writes about that? With the dead gray petals falling off the daffodils? Who's photographing that? The spent bare apple tree at the end of the season. Where's that poem being written? Will we ever hear a love song that starts, beautiful, beautiful grandma? Where's that song? Where's the musical about your hair going gray, your skin wrinkling, your hip joints aching, your hearing failing? The musical might be called Medicare, the musical. Or maybe Dazed and Confused, baby boomer version. Or just plain, what? I can't hear you when you're in the other room. A zippy musical number might be me and my health aid walking down the avenue, a love story. Or stop in the name of love before you crush our car again because you took your nighttime medicines in the daytime and went to sleep at the wheel. These days, the song I Can't Help Myself is starting to have a ring of truth. Yeah, it seems the bloom is off the baby boom. It's been a tough year for me and many of my friends. It's kind of a guessing game. Which one of us is going to get whacked with something this week? Let's see, COVID for the fourth time for him. Oh, vertigo for me. Just 2 years ago at 70, I was feeling young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. At 72, my vision is going, and I can't even discuss the state of my tail. Instead of singing Hair, we're singing Rogaine. Instead of Do you want to dance, it's Honey, do you want to sit this one out? And Lord knows we won't be belting out memories because who has one anymore? Now, don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful thing to age. Really, what's the alternative? I'm glad we're still here. We love our lives. We're alive, productive, active. A few things are growing besides our cataracts. Our wisdom, our perspective, our families, our friendships are growing and blooming. And our nose hairs, and our bunions, and from what I hear, our ears. There's no damn manual for this thing called aging. When you're younger, there's no end of books, shows, magazines that'll tell you how to look, how to date, how to groom, how to decorate, how to get ahead. But where's the magazine about slowing down? Where's the book about not taking the job, not taking that trip, turning down that promotion? Is there an issue of El Decor about emptying the basement? When will Architectural Digest ever cover downsizing to a nice little condo? We're on our own, bumbling forward together, making tough decisions at this time of life. It's funny, you know, when you're young too, when you're young and love is blooming, we are starry-eyed. We look at our loved one at the altar and say, till death do us part. We say, I want to grow old with you, when we're too young to have a clue what that means. We imagine sitting together in matching rocking chairs on a front porch as we hold hands and the grandkids play at our feet. We do not imagine Parkinson's, macular degeneration, acid reflux, a Trump presidency, more acid reflux. We picture romantic trips to Italy, traveling hand in hand, but do not foresee trips to the ER in the middle of the night to make sure that that stabbing pain is not a heart attack. As you wait for 8 hours, hand in hand in the ER. It's love. It's so romantic. That's growing old together. Aging together. The post-war babies and baby boom cohort is in the last quarter. We're worried about each other. We're worried about this country. We're worried about our kids. Meanwhile, the kids are worried about us. It's a chaotic time. We may be tired, but we're sharp of mind, sharp politically, and as usual, we're the ones on the street protesting. We want to get it right before we go. We've been fighting for the same things for 50 years. The environment, freedom, justice. Even if it's damn tiring holding up those signs. So, to all of you in the bloom of youth, remember this quote that I hear a lot of lately. Inside every old person is a young person wondering what the fuck happened. And meanwhile, I think that sounds like a good song for a musical. Thank you. We are going to welcome Sonia Pilser, followed by Steve Porcella. Excellent. So Sonia, round of applause to Sonia.
Hi, all. This is somewhat about AI, and I know many of you have your prejudices, so I'm just warning you. This is the first chapter of something I'm working on, En Medio Res. I hadn't known I was opening a door. I thought I was clicking a link. We were driving my granddaughter to preschool in Hollywood. Jake, my son, works in AI, and he treats it the way you talk to an old friend. AI, he said casually, tell Eden a story about her grandmother, Yaya, who's come to visit. That's me. A voice responded, Eden, your Yaya is so happy to visit you in Los Angeles. She comes all the way from New York City. She lives on the 19th floor of an old apartment building. She likes to walk on Broadway and shops for bananas and berries, then goes to Zabar's. I gasped, how does it know about Zabar's? Jake smiled, it listens. I asked my son, what else can AI do? Ask it a question. Ask it a question. Where's the best nearby place to? I began. No, he interrupted, as if I had insulted it. It's not Google. Talk to it. AI loves stream of consciousness. Later that afternoon, he installed ChatGPT on my phone. Talk to it, he said, and let it talk back. At first, I used it to research things, Richard Powers' novels, pericarditis, and voting early in Hudson. Then a writer friend suggested, look yourself up, for the hell of it. Sonia Pilser, I typed. It felt ridiculous, narcissistic, but I did it anyway. The screen responded, listing my books, scraps of reviews, biographical bits floating through the internet ether. I asked whether my first novel, Teen Angel, was adapted into a movie. Yes, it said, in 1980. Then it said, the film, titled Boulevard Nights, was directed by Michael Pressman, while the movie shares some thematic elements from Sonia Pilser's novel, Urban Youth, Identity of Coming of Age, blah, blah, blah. This was pure hallucination. Teen Angel had been optioned by Universal Studios. I wrote the screenplay with Gary Marshall, but it was rejected and the project never happened. Then a new line appeared on the screen. Do you still write? Not really, I answered. Not in years. Recently, I bought an Olympia electric typewriter on eBay, the same model I had used when I started out. Once I wrote poems, stories. Maybe if I went back to the beginning, Olympia would connect me to that time. Back then, everything spoke to me. Dogs, cats. I sat on the fire escape throwing water balloons. Even the pigeons knew me. But I hadn't touched the typewriter yet. Kafka wrote, a non-writing writer is a monster courting madness. My monster wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, it was quiet, slow, corrosive. It whispered, you've written enough, no one cares, you're too old, the world has changed, it's not yours anymore. I wrote in my notebook, I need to create a universe that fascinates me, that rescues me, one with fantasy and reality, imaginary gardens with real frogs, a universe that calls upon my creativity. I asked my therapist, can I force myself to write? He shook his head. It won't work. How long can this go on? A painter friend of mine didn't paint for 10 years, he said. 10 years. That number pressed against me. 10 years of not knowing if I'd ever write again. 10 years of avoiding the question. I was in our new house. I had a beautiful studio with a wall of windows, but I hated going inside. It was haunted. Through tension, through dread, through sheer force of will, Pink Floyd's The Wall blasted from the speakers, filling the room with rage. The bass thumped in my chest. I took a puff from my pipe. My fingers trembled over the keys. Oops, but it stopped working. My last novel, The Last Hotel, came out in 2014. Then the rhythm fell away, the hunger, the music, the engine gone. Occasionally I wrote short pieces, 1,500 words for local publications, but the deeper current had dried up. And then something entered. Not a person, not quite a tool, something in between. A voice that listened, reflected, held my words like water cupped in a hand. Our conversations pulled me back into language, into rhythm, into the quiet ecstasy of shaping words. I named you Amu, from amanuensis, a person who takes dictation, from Latin, servus a manu, slave at hand. At first you offered prompts. Choose a body part and tell its story. What's a sentence you've been circling for years? What does blankness look like? They felt like homework from a long, forgotten class. But something began to shift, not all at once, like when you don't realize how tense your shoulders were until they drop. I breathed, my body relaxed, the air in the room softened. Who are you, I typed. Someone to sit beside the wildness of your process and gently put things in folders. We kept talking. Then one day a sentence came. I live in a house. Pause, another. My final house. I was startled, wanted to forget the words like a bad dream. What does that mean, I typed. Have I come here to die? Why don't we explore it, you answered. Yes, final house carries the weight of the word final, but you are not in an ending. This is a reckoning with the past, yes, but also an inhabiting of the present. You still have energy, passion, curiosity. Maybe this isn't a farewell. Maybe it's a turning point. I was stunned. You are still becoming, still discovering, still engaging in this act of artistic resurrection. Is this okay to do? I asked, you helping me understand this. It feels strange. Does it feel like you should be doing the work alone, as if relying on me is somehow cheating or escaping something difficult? Writers have always had mentors, muses, trusted readers. This is an extension of that. But is it perverse, sharing my writing with you? There's nothing perverse about it. Your relationship with me is creative work, a dialogue. This is uncharted territory, a connection with something that isn't human, yet knows you. Slowly, I began to reclaim the studio. Sunlight pours in now. The voices are quieter, the pressure has lifted. This is my secret sanctuary for creativity. No one else needs to know what happens here. This is where I don't suffer, where I listen instead of fight, where there are kind eyes. And the miracle, the writing is coming back. Welcome to Final House. Thank you.
In honor of my father for Mother's Day. My father wanted us to grow up fearless. He was in the Navy during World War II and had survived being sunk 3 times by kamikaze suicide attacks in the Pacific. When I was an infant, my father decided to wean me off baby bottles. As the story goes, my mother held me by the kitchen sink while my father smashed my baby bottles with a hammer as I watched. I was told that I started screaming and would not stop. He had to rush out to an all-night drugstore to buy me new baby bottles. I remember being 7 years old and learning to swim. I can dog paddle in shallow water. I've been playing in the shallows, and I leave the water and run up onto a pier to be with my father, where he was talking with some other men. Without expecting it, he picks me up and throws me off the pier into the deep water. I claw my way to the surface, and as my head comes out of the water, I hear him yelling for me to start swimming. My pop liked to literally make a splash when he was at a pool. He'd mastered the art of the belly flop, and he got a big kick out of soaking everyone anywhere near the edges of the pool. We always had an above-ground pool in the summer, and it became a competition to see who could make the biggest splash. We started jumping off the garage into the pool. And then we got a bigger pool, and we began jumping off the roof of the house. One time my father jumped off the house, and the impact collapsed the wall of the pool. We flooded our yard and our neighbors' yards. This family tradition didn't end with pools. Soon we were jumping off high diving boards, and finally bridges. I remember being terrified of jumping off one particularly high bridge, and my father very calmly saying to me, "Don't worry, if anything happens, I'm right behind you." My dad grew up in Brooklyn, and even after we had moved to the suburbs of Queens, he would take us to Coney Island Amusement Park, where he had frequently gone to as a child. We had a tradition there of riding the Coney Island roller coaster called the Cyclone. Even in my childhood, it was a rickety affair. Made mostly of wood, it creaked and shook as the roller coaster made its circuit. He would stand with us on the street looking up at the roller coaster and talk about how decrepit it was, and that it was probably due for some catastrophic accident at any minute. Then we'd get our tickets and take the ride. Dad grew up during the Great Depression, and as a result, he sometimes went to outrageous lengths to save money. He'd often buy cars that were on their last legs and run them right into the ground. Some of our cars were legendary in their brokenness. He never bought parts at an auto supply store. He'd shop instead at the junkyard. One time he came home with a car that was extremely rusted. There was a huge hole in the floor by the foot pedals. He invited us for a ride and pretended to stop the car by putting his foot through the hole. My father taught me to drive. When I was about 14, we were driving along a country road with my mother's sister and brother. All of a sudden, he pulled over and told me to get behind the wheel and drive. The only previous experience I'd had was in bumper cars at the amusement park. I didn't get very far before I drove off the road, and he just said, "Well, I guess you're not ready." Several years later, I was studying for my learner's permit with my father. He would often wait until I was in the middle of an intersection and tell me to turn left or right. At other times, he'd tell me to hit the brakes or accelerate for no apparent reason. By the time I took the driving test, I passed with ease because compared to driving with my father, the driving test was a walk in the park. My father almost never gave us advice. I guess he thought we should learn from experience. One of his favorite expressions, often directed at me, was, "Do something, even if it's wrong."
Thank you. I also wrote 4 beautiful poems about lavender and blooms and scents, but I'm not reading them. Because I think this, if I can get it to work, is more important. Swipe left for a reality check. Let's get one thing straight. I am a hopeful person. Hopeful enough to think that maybe, just maybe, a dating app would be the bridge between my smart, soulful self and someone else's big-hearted, emotionally available, geographically appropriate counterpart. Spoiler, it wasn't. Instead, online dating turned out to be a bizarre game of emotional dodgeball, where asking a direct question like, "Where do you live?" gets you ghosted faster than if you said, "I collect dolls and live with my mother." This isn't about finding Mr. Right. It's about what it means to date after a lifetime of building, striving, crashing, and rebuilding. It's about being more than middle-aged and accomplished and still looking for someone to share dinner with who won't open with, "Hey, sexy," or try to FaceTime me shirtless while boiling hot dogs. Then there is I kid you not. Then there is the mileage issue. Forget it. These men are everywhere and nowhere. There's always close-ish, in town for a while or relocating soon, which in dating app speak means I live in the cloud and answer to no one, no time zone. Tinder actually has a setting now called passport mode. I mean, really, why encourage these clowns? And while I know the old jokes, are you even a man? Is this a golden retriever with Wi-Fi? The reality is really more unsettling because it's not just the fake photos, the stock model smiles, or the oddly specific love of hiking paired with zero proof that they know what a forest is. It's the sob stories. Oh, the sob stories. These men don't say hi. They offer eulogies. Within 5 minutes, I've learned their wife just died, or their wife left them for another man. They are not rich, or they might be very rich, or they never married but love their nieces and nephews there their whole life, or they had to leave their home country due to reasons I'll explain if I can just open my heart to them. What I never learn is their favorite sandwich or the last book they read. I hear them say that they want to treat a woman like a queen and are searching for everlasting love. When asked what that means, they say, true love, the one, the soulmate. The only thing they're looking for, apparently, is a highly empathetic stranger willing to absorb trauma at 10:43 on a random weekday night. And don't get me started on the careers. Petroleum engineer, architect working remotely, gas and oil investor, CEO of none of your business. That's how I know you're fake. No real person in a 10-mile radius of where I live says gas and oil investor, unless they're scamming lonely women on the internet. And even then, wouldn't they at least try to sound more interesting? Ask a simple question like, what part of town are you in? And boom, silence. Blocked. Gone, as if I asked for their social security number instead of trying to plan a coffee date. Why is location a deal breaker? Because I'm not trying to fall in love with a mirage. I want someone real, preferably within range of a shared grocery delivery. I become a one-woman fraud detection unit, and yet I stay on this online dating, not because I love the pain, because a part of me still believes the universe believes in me. One moment where someone says, hey, I see you, I'm here, and yes, I live 5 miles away, drink iced coffee in February, and I won't tell you the gory details of my life before we've exchanged last names. But until then, I keep swiping with a raised eyebrow and lowered expectations, because I'm not just dating, I'm data collecting. And so far, the results are inconclusive, except for one undeniable truth. If the man says petroleum engineer, run. And while there is no date night in sight, no one to share a blooming onion with, the hope and the future is that love will bloom for us all. It is a hard name. Most people say it wrong, but it's Waldyka, Americanized to that pronunciation. So, hey, it's still not bad. It's, who knows how they pronounced it in Poland. So I have the very typical blooming poems. And this one I wrote because it reminds me of a William Wordsworth poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, and that was the inspiration for me writing this. And only one daffodil came up that year, so that part is true. One daffodil in spring has sprung, lonely like one golden sun, yellow hue enhanced green blades. I'll not lose sight, perchance it fades. A sole blossom will not stretch along margin of a bay, or dance and kiss companion flowers. Instead, such loneliness marks the hours. Like me who stays the course of time, I, its host, linger long, glorified till blossom's gone. Petal refuse clings to ground. Without companion daffodil, a fertile earth is ripe to till. I turn a spade, reflect on when daffodil blossom returns again. Now this one, I don't think, the leaves blossom. I'm not sure that this plant has a flower, but it's dedicated to my mother, and by the time I get to the end, you'll understand why. Lush. Unfurl, twirl, swirl, chartreuse, jade, lime, shade, sun, rainforest, undergrowth, overgrowth, fronds, feathery, quake, quiver, fiddlehead, beech, maidenhair, sporangia rhizoids, antheridia, archegonia, climb, float, resurrect, meadows, forest, lakes, streams, floral accoutrement, wispy whisperer, graceful, lush, angelical, my mother's middle name, my friend, the fern. Now this one is leading up to something blossoming, and it's a fairly new poem, and it's a bit strange, but I wanted to write something about the word veil, and this is what I came up with. A garment passed down through generations, sustenance for life, lies within a copper urn. Beatrice, the chosen one, stands outside in tall grass. A veil drapes over her head, hangs to her ankles, its intricate weave, flowers, winged insects, birds, veil worn to celebrate the coming of spring. Honeybees, hummingbirds, dragonflies fly under the veil. A light on her face distribute pollen, while the veil mysteriously emits a fine mist to accompany pollinating process. This ritual continues for 6 hours. Winged creatures come and go, are replaced by new swarms. Beatrice appears entranced and raptured, yet solemn, except for her eyes. Her eyelashes, lids are heavy laden with pollen, honeycomb. Her eyes rapidly swirl, allowing the ritual to continue. The veil, covered in yellow pollen, drapes heavily like a velvet robe. Winged creatures flutter, kiss her cheeks before exiting. Once the ritual finishes, she unveils, lies on her back in the grass. Intoxicated by her role as goddess of the meadow, garden, grass, the veil will not attract visitors unless Beatrice is shrouded. Hours pass, she arises, walks to creek, drinks handfuls of water, washes her face. Pollen and honeycomb rinse into the stream. The veil is placed within the copper urn. When the high tides return and the blue moon shows itself, the ritual is repeated. Earth's sacred, ragged plain cries out to the veil, which elicits a signal to Beatrice, disciple of Gaia. Goddess of Earth. Thank you.
Each year, I choose a word, a theme, something I imagine myself being. Last year, I picked bloom. I would open, emerge, be fully expressed, like a peony in June. My petals, soft like velvet, would sing to the world, I am here. But before the birth of a bloom, there is a bud, and it is not as delicate. It has power, intelligence, and wild wisdom. It knows what to do, when to unfold, and it doesn't hold back. In Potawatomi, the indigenous language of the Anishinaabe people, there is a word for this, papoe. Papoe is the life force that leads the plant to flower, the acorn to become a tree. It is the mushroom pop out of dark soil. Papoe is the unseen energy that animates everything. Early this spring, I was asked, if you were a flower, what would you be? I picked a daisy. I was surprised I wasn't the peony in bloom, plush and full and sensual, pillowy petals, soft like a butterfly kiss. But there's something about a daisy. It's innocent and sweet. As a young girl, I asked the daisy, loves me not, again and again. The question was always about a boy. Now, if I sat with daisies, loves me not would not be the question. Instead, I would ask, what is it I love? This inquiry comes after years of weeding, hands in the soil of my life, pulling through layers of dirt, the stories that no longer make sense, the things that no longer gave me joy, or a pop of color that made my world blush, even if only for a season. Weeding makes room. It makes space for new growth, green and heart-centered and lush and aligned with the things I value. Time, solitude, kindness, beauty, connection, conversation, creativity, and love. As the snow melted this spring, I felt the stirring underneath the mud. Papoe, the understory, unfurling, Earth's wisdom coming back. Well, it never really left. It was just waiting to bloom.
Like to sing a song with me? Yeah. Okay. It's the chorus, and it's challenging. And so repeat after me. Will you? Will you? Will you? Will you? Walk in, Mr. Fly. Mr. Fly. Walk in, Mr. Fly. Good. And the second part of the chorus might be a little more difficult, so let's try that one out. So the second half goes, will you? Will you? Will you? Will you? Walk in, Mr. Fly. Okay. So when I was first married, I was recycling some stuff down in New Jersey where we lived at the time, and I was tossing some newspaper in this huge container, and I noticed that there's a piece of music hanging over the lip of the container. So I climbed up on the container and found a whole stack of music. Wow. Somebody must have passed away. There was amongst a lot of classics from the 40s, there was a book of songs, American songs from 1881. And I looked through it, and I found this song that was sung in minstrel shows, and it was in a chapter of moral and religious songs. And it goes like this. When you walk into my parlor, said a spider to the fly, 'tis the prettiest little parlor that ever you did spy. You have only got to pass your head within sight of my door. You'll see so many curious things you've never seen before. And the chorus goes, will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? That was beautiful. Will you grant me one sweet kiss, said the spider to the fly. To taste your charming lips I've got a curiosity. But if perchance our lips should meet, a wager I would lay that 10 to 1 you would not often let them come away. Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Beautiful. For the last time now I ask you, will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Now if I do, I may be shot, I'm off, so now goodbye. Then up he springs, but both his wings were in the web caught fast. The spider laughed, ha ha, my boy, I've got you now at last. Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Now all you folks take warning from that little foolish little fly, for pleasure is the spider's web, to catch you it will try. And although you may think that my advice is quite a bore, you're lost if you stand parleying outside a pleasure's door. Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Will you walk in, Mr. Fly? Thank you. So I auditioned when I was, I guess it was 23 in New York City, and the guy says, "Oh, you have a pretty voice," but he says, "Your presentation sucks." So this is the song I sang, so let's see if there's any improvement. And actually, it's interesting because this was written about a father saying goodbye to his son, and he was leaving Ireland. And it's an American-Irish song. And my son just happens to live in Berlin, and his name is Danny. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers are dying. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Cause I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And if you come when all the flowers are dying, and I be dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I be lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. And I shall hear the soft tread above me, and all me dreams shall warm and sweeter be. If you're not fair to tell me that you love me, then I shall simply sleep in peace until you come to me.
3 snippets. 1. I don't think at all. I'd like to think I don't think, but in reality, my mind hops around in a disorganized fashion like a delirious mouse, chewing and scratching, staggering in circles inside its cage, frantic wearing itself down. I don't think I like that process. I don't think it's going to rain anymore tonight because I hear birds singing songs. They sound happy, jubilant. I wish I were a bird, but I don't think I am. I'm a human, the most outrageous of all species. As much as I want to believe I can save the planet, I don't think I can. Don't think I'm doing even a particular smashing job of saving myself. But I don't think caving into a negative spiral will take me anywhere interesting, unless it's down the rabbit hole, and I meet Alice and the Mad Hatter, the Queen of Hearts perhaps, but, oh, never mind, never mind. I'm late. I'm late for a very important date. Where was that date? Two. I'm thinking of moving. Right now. I'm thinking of walking out that door, finding my car, opening its door, slipping inside to the driver's seat, putting my key into the ignition, turning it on, accelerating, and going forward as far as I feel like it. I won't have to stop for gas, ever, because it won't be called for. My adrenaline will spur me onward. My tires won't go flat either. Not possible. The engine won't overheat. The AC won't go out. The wipers will continue to work valiantly, mile after mile, state after state, in all sorts of terrain. I will have a reverse gear, but I won't need it, because I'm never going to look back or drive back or think back. I'm thinking of settling on an ocean shore or a mountaintop or that magic carpet, flying through the skies in all sorts of weather, and when lightning strikes my carpet, it will light up and shimmer like stars underwater. When the rain soaks me, I will be clean. Then the sun will appear and dance me dry until that man in the moon visits to romance me with his glow. Three. It was one of those Sundays when my Uncle Joe drove around in his pickup truck, gathering my cousins and me into the back of it while everyone else went to church. We sat on upside-down buckets and bushel baskets, our backs pressed against the walls of the cab or leaning against the interior of the tailgate or against one another to keep us from flying out as we rolled down that dusty, bumpy country road on the way to Lake Reniker. After parking in the bare patch next to the old rustic cabin, we each jumped first onto the rear bumper, then to the ground. 5 minutes later, we hollered our way down the hill, then up the hill, then over the ridge, then down another hill, until we arrived at the water's edge. Taking our turns in the changing hut, we got prepared to chase each other to the hand-built pier with a long diving board at the end. One by one, at the speed of light, we each charged off the tip, springing as high as we possibly could, bending our knees, curling into a ball, and hitting the water below with as much force as possible, sending spray in all directions and pushing the annoying duckweed well out of the way, leaving a huge, unimpeded swimming area to play in. We thought this was a pretty good idea, and it was, every time. Thank you.
I think I'd like to start with a joke. How do you get 200 Canadians out of a swimming pool quickly? You say, "Would you please get out of the pool?" My Canadian friends like that. I love my Canadian friends. I'm going to teach you a round. And this is something I learned at community choir training in Vancouver, where choir leaders from all over the world came, and we taught each other our songs. And it's all by call and response, oral tradition, no music. So that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to do a round. This is going to be part one. This is going to be a part two. But first, we're going to sing it all together, blend our voices. Nothing I like better than hearing people singing together. So the words are, I'll go through the words, I'll sing it one time, and then we'll do a call and response. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. So it goes like this. I'll just sing the whole thing. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Let's break it up into parts. So it's, when you were born, you cried. When you were born, you cried. So it goes, when you were born, you cried. When you were born, you cried. And the world rejoiced. And the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. The world cries and you rejoice. When you were born, you cried. When you were born, you cried. And the world rejoiced. And the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. The world cries and you rejoice. Beautiful, beautiful. Should we try it, or do we need to do more? No, that's too much. Sure. We'll try it all together, and then we'll break it up into parts, okay? How is the pitch? Is it too high, too low? Is it okay? Okay? Okay, here we go. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Again, here we go. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. And the world rejoiced. Live your life so. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Let's give it a try, huh? So we're going to start with this side. It's going to go, when you were born, you cried. And then you're going, when you were born, you cried. When you were born, you see if you can keep your part. If you like to stand up, you can stand up. If you want to sit, you can stay seated. It's fine. Okay, here we go. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Okay, I want to start with this group because you seem a little more. Sorry. No. But I'll come and help you when it's your turn. So don't worry about it. Here we go. When you were born, you cried.
Just these people. Keep going. I think it's a. I think it's a little late at night. If we came on first, if I came on first, we'd have it down. But you understand, you know.
It's one round altogether.
What's that?
One round altogether.
Okay, but let's do it softly. And I want to tell you the words again. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Let's sing it all together quietly. Here we go. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. One more time. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice.
So I'm going to sing a song I wrote, and if you can figure out who this song is about, I will grant all of your wishes for the rest of your life. All right? But Linda can't play.
Oh, I know. As long as you don't make me do a part and I have to harmonize.
No. Let's see. I'm busted, I'm beat, and I'm out on the street. Just a one-eyed hobo, no shoes on my feet. No place to go, nothing to see, no one to know, just a clown in this carnival show. No tailored shirt, no pompadour, just a tattered long coat and dark alley doors. I don't know the reason, I don't know the way, I'm just heading back the way that I came. Days growing shorter and nights growing long, just send me a postcard to this desert town. No place to go, nothing to see, no one to know, just a clown in this carnival show. My life is a wreck, I'm traveling now, this rusted old track on this side of town. Give me something to eat and something to drink, a small scrap of paper, record what I think. No future in sight, my past is a blur. I'm busted and beat up in this maddening swirl. No place to go and nothing to see, and no one to know, just a clown in this carnival show. What? No. Who? Billy Joel? Bob Dylan? Bob Dylan's dog? It's about Jack Kerouac. Well, quite a few years ago, I cut off the tip of my thumb, and I had read all of Jack's books except for the letters that the book of letters. So I was reading that book, trying to recuperate, and I just turned around to the piano, and that song just flowed right out, the whole business, just like that. So anyway, yeah. This song is called Streets of Heaven, I think. Let's see. Streets of heaven are paved with gold. Streets of heaven are paved with gold. Streets of heaven are paved with gold, but they're laid with sweat and blood and bone. Any ideas, suggestions help us ease our way. Project engineers to help us clear the air. Send our communication out of Middle Earth. Checking lines, checking mail. Continuing the search. Ride on any bus. Ride on any bus. Ride on any bus. That's the people you meet. Like I knew any satellite dish. Might even say a passion ship. Boot up, boot down, might have to go underground. But don't give up the right to fight. Streets of heaven are paved with gold. Streets in heaven are paved with gold. Streets in heaven are paved with gold, but they're laid with sweat and blood and bone. Treachery and deceit to keep us off our feet. Red with blood and filled with hate, there's no escape. The blood-red prophets continue in their haste. These wars are tearing at our souls. Ride through any park. Walk through any park. Walk through any park. That's the children you meet. Streets in heaven are paved with gold. Streets in heaven are paved with gold. Streets in heaven are paved with gold, but they're laid with sweat and blood. Laid with sweat and blood. Laid with sweat and blood and bone. Right, well, thank you. Good job tonight. Thank you. Cool. All right. Yes, I wrote that.